So what happens if your college shuts down in Australia? Yes, we don't really want to think about this question, but in all honesty, every international student who is studying in Australia needs to know about this. Now, to give you a bit of context about this video, I have to bring you back to the year 2009. That is the year when I first started working in vocational education in a private institute as a teacher in Australia. And that is the same year that some international colleges had to shut down their operations, mostly due to the changes in immigration rules. And because of the shutdown of these colleges, many international students were left in a limbo, not knowing the future because they have already paid the money or they are nearly finishing their course, but because those colleges shut down, they didn't know what to do next. Luckily, government stepped in and helped most of the students back then. But there was no such scheme, and that prompted Australian government to take an action regarding this issue. So if it happens in the future, there is a protection for international students regarding their tuition fee. And that is where they brought TPS in 2012. This was a protection scheme for international students that was introduced under the ESOS Act 2002. For those who don't know, ESOS stands for Educational Services for Overseas Students. This law is designed obviously to protect the international students and their rights, and also making sure that the providers who are providing these services are liable and responsible for looking after international students while they're studying with them. Now, what is TPS? TPS stands for Tuition Protection Service, and TPS is there to protect international students if the education provider fails to deliver the course that they are studying. The main purpose of this scheme is to ensure that international students can complete their studies in Australia without worrying about losing their financial investment. Yes, considering that you are paying a huge amount of money for studying overseas in Australia, the government introduced this scheme to protect your financial investment. Now here, very important term that you will need to understand is a provider default. So provider default basically means the education provider will not be able to deliver the course. And it could be because of the three main reasons. The first one is they shut down their operations, which means that they're closing their business, or they fail to start a course that you have enrolled into, or last but not the least is they stop offering the course that you have enrolled into. So whether they are unable to start the course or they stop offering that course, that is considered to be a part of provider default. Now for TPS, what's the benefit for international students? Obviously, the main benefit is that students can continue their study under this scheme. We'll talk about what are the options they give you regarding that in a couple of minutes. But definitely, it is one of the benefits that you can complete your studies without worrying about losing your financial investment. Obviously, the other benefit is regarding that peace of mind, knowing that there is a scheme like this available for you in case your provider default or unable to deliver the course. And students providers who are unable to deliver their courses will get support and guidance from TPS, which is very important because of the stress or anxiety you would go through in case your provider shuts down. So now let's come to the important question: how does it actually work? So if your provider defaults, here are a few steps that will happen. First one is that your provider will notify you as a student and TPS about their default. Whether they are unable to deliver the course or shutting down the operation, they will have to notify both the parties, TPS and yourself as a student. Then TPS will get in touch with all the affected students who may not be able to complete their studies because of this provider default. And they will usually hold up information session for all the students who are studying with this educational provider. Once you attended this information session, you will get login details from TPS. So you will need to go to TPS website, which is tps.gov.au. This is where you will need to log in with the details provided by TPS. And usually they will send this information through by email. And once you log in, you will get a couple of options over there. The first one will be to transfer to another provider. So TPS will help you find another education provider where you can complete your remaining studies. It can be via campus or could be online as well, depending upon how you were studying with that educational provider. So that's the first option, where they will help you to find another education provider to complete your studies. And obviously, if you have paid some fee, they will be working that out and transferring you to the new education provider. Next option is usually a refund. So if you don't agree with the education provider option that you were given by TPS, they could arrange a refund for yourself for any unspent tuition fee that you have paid to the education provider. So let's say you have paid for one whole semester, but they couldn't deliver the whole semester. Whatever unspent fee, they will be able to refund you to your nominated bank account. In case you are getting a refund from the TPS, you will need to find your own education provider. But there is very important information here. If you decide to choose your own education provider, provider, you must do that within the 3 months. Because if you don't do that, then you will not be able to meet your student visa requirements. So those were typically the steps you will have to go through in case your provider defaults. Now, very importantly, you will also need to gather some documentation in order to get all this help and assistance. So it's very important that you keep these documents safe. Some of them will be sent to you at the start of your course, and some of them could be during your studies. So I'm going to give you the complete list here, and make sure you keep all these records. Whether your provider defaults or not, it's still very important that you keep these records carefully. So the documents are your academic transcript for whatever course you have completed or nearly completing, your written agreement you have signed with your education provider, any invoices, receipts for the tuition fee that you have paid to your education provider, any completed assessments, assignments or work placements, course structure in your course, which will tell about your units of competency, like the subjects you have completed or supposed to complete, and if you have already completed some, when they were being taught, any other document or emails that shows part of your course you were studying and had completed. So kind of important for you to keep a track of which units you have completed and which units you still have to complete in order to get that qualification. So these are the documents that are listed on the TPS website as well. Now, if you want to see the complete list of colleges that have closed down in Australia, you should definitely check a link that we will put it in the description box below. That is from the Department of Education's website. Here you will find a list of all the education providers that have recently closed or closed over the few years. And in case you have a complaint about education provider, you should definitely first of all seek out support from your education provider itself. And if you can't resolve it with your education provider, then definitely you have a right to reach out to the Ombudsman, which is the office of the Commonwealth Ombudsman. This is where you can make a complaint about your education provider. In all honesty, no one really wants to think about this thing, that their college is shutting down, because it will definitely put a lot of pressure on yourself and it will give you anxiety and unnecessary stress in your life, which, as I said, no one wants. But hey, it could happen. So in case it does happen, you need to be prepared about it. So that's why we have created this video, in order to make sure that the students are aware about this scheme. Now, in case you're looking for some part-time work and want to know which short courses can help you to get those part-time jobs, then I suggest you to check this video here, where I discuss about the 9 short courses that you can do in order to find part-time work here. So click that video over there and I'll see you there.